Hello, hello, hello. This is the Vanilla.js podcast. I'm Chris Ferdinandi. Thanks so much for joining me. Today, I wanted to talk about my internet friend James Williamson and building a web for everyone. Just a quick note before we jump in. If you learn best by working on projects but struggle to come up with ideas or wish you had someone to help you get unstuck, I think you'll love my Vanilla.js Academy training program. Every other day, you get a short lesson or two and a project to work on. On the in-between days, I share how I approach the project and common issues that people typically run into. Every other week, you can join video office hours to ask questions, and there's also a private Slack channel where you can share your work in progress and chat with other students. A new session of the Vanilla.js Academy starts on January 6th, and as a listener of this podcast, you can take 30% off with the code podcast at checkout. Visit vanillajsacademy.com to learn more. All right, let's dig in. So 5 years ago at the second Artifact conference in Providence, Rhode Island, I had the pleasure of meeting my internet friend, James Williamson. He was going to be talking about icon fonts, which at the time were like the hot new way to put icons on the web. SVGs weren't really as popular as they are today, and so everybody thought this was a great idea. And so that's what James is going to be talking about. He walks out on stage, and he announces to the room that he has ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, and that this would be his final conference talk. And this was the first time he had told anybody publicly outside of his family. And so because of that, the night before, he completely tossed his talk and wrote a brand new one that looked at the web more broadly and focused on the kind of web that he wanted to see built, the future of the web. And his talk, A Web for Everyone, is one of the best talks that I've ever seen in my entire life. It was so fucking good. And if you didn't get to see it, I feel really bad for you. I'm going to drop the slides, a link to the slides down in the show notes. There is no video of this talk. I've scoured the web for it. Artifact didn't really record their talks. It was kind of more like if you were there, it was in like an intimate little venue kind of thing. So it didn't get recorded. And there was a link to it on his website, but it points to a dead video. Like it just doesn't work. So the best we've got is the slides. I will drop those down in the show notes for you. And they give a pretty good approximation, but they don't really do the talk justice. And I just, honestly, I can't believe he put this thing together in like one night the day before. It was just so good. I was a junior developer in my first real job as a web professional at the time. And after having spent like half a decade in human resources. And his words and his ideas from that talk have influenced my entire career and how I build for the web. So in his talk, James talked about things like the importance of an open web that enables anyone to share their ideas and connect with others, and just how amazing of an invention that is, that the web allows us to just interact with people and share these ideas in our head so freely around the globe. He also talked about the threat that governments and their censorship of the web, places like China, and corporations like Facebook and Twitter, who build these walled gardens that control what gets seen, pose to a free and open web. He also spent a lot of time talking about accessibility and the importance of building a web that anyone can use. And as you might imagine, as someone who was starting to show symptoms of ALS, how important, increasingly important, that topic would have been for James personally. And these are the same themes that Baldur Bjarnason, who, again, Baldur, I'm so sorry I'm butchering your name, wrote about last month in The Web Falls Apart, which I will also link to in the show notes, and we talked about in a previous episode. I will link to that episode in the show notes as well. And, it seems like 5 years on from James's talk, things have actually gotten worse, not better. And unfortunately, early last week, James lost his battle with ALS. He had lived several years past when he was told he could expect to by doctors, but it's a really sad thing. Like, James was a really awesome person. He was an amazing member of our community, and I'm going to miss him. I think about him often as the ALS took more and more of his ability to like use his hands and things like that. Him and I have gotten to interact less because the primary way we interacted was through Twitter, and it's it's hard to type when your hands don't work. So one of the most amazing things for me about James is he was just such a loving, generous person. He continued to be a champion for a free and open web. Long after that talk, he continued to help people learn through his courses on what was previously lynda.com and eventually became LinkedIn Learning. He'll keep doing so for years to come, even though he's gone. I actually remember when I was trying to break into speaking, James, generously took time to review my speaking proposals and give me feedback on them and tell me ways that I could do things better. And this was at a point where he really had lost a lot of functionality in his arms and hands. So he was using the web through a special device that allowed him to control things, either with a joystick, just with his hands, or I think later on he was using something that allowed him to control it with his mouth. But he was just such a strong, amazing person. I'm going to miss James a lot. He was a wonderful person who made the web and the world a better place. And this is a devastating loss for our community. And if you were someone who knew James or who cared about the ideas that he was talking or cared about him as a person, I think one of the best ways we can honor James's life and kind of carry this legacy forward is to keep fighting for the kind of web that James envisioned, one that's free, one that's open, and one that works for everyone. I know that's what I'm going to keep doing. So, James, goodbye. I'm going to miss you. I'm really sorry we didn't get to meet one last time before you passed. But I'm going to make sure that the work that you were fighting for continues to live on. So that's it for this week's episode. Sorry to end on such a kind of sad, shitty note, but as a positive, I think we can carry on James's legacy by making sure the web stays fast, simple, open, accessible to everyone. So yeah, that's it. I will see you next time. Cheers.